Okay, welcome back. For this video, I'm going to be talking about how to set up the actual test. So how do we get everything running so that when it comes time for test day, the students can just easily get their computers and upload the link that I'm going to send you and get going on the test. So this is the setup piece of that. If you're someone who's going to be doing everything on paper, that's going to be a different video because I want to show you how you can still use ZipGrade to do the grading piece of it. There's also two options for giving the test. One is called an open submissions option. That's what this video is going to talk about. This is the one I personally use. But there's also a verified submission where you can use a student portal. It's a little bit more work from your end just to get it set up, but it's also great, and it's probably honestly a little more secure than the open submission. So we'll talk about the pluses and minuses of both. So what's going to happen is when it comes time for us to actually do the testing in January, so our first January test, that Sunday, what I'll be doing is I'm going to send everybody their links. So you're going to receive a link that's going to be for the tests that you're giving. So if you only have one physics one team or high school physics team, you're only going to get one link for that test. If you have 9 tests and you're giving one for each, then you're going to get 9 links, and those will all be identified in the email. All you need to do is click on the link, and it's going to add that test into your ZipGrade portal. So where you would find that would be here under quizzes. Okay, so again, like I said, you'll get a link. You'll just open that link, and it's going to automatically add the quiz or the test that we're calling it into your list. So you can see mine here. I have tons. This is from like years and years and years and years. So I'm going to show you my example of how I gave, like for this year, just for my honors class, when I did their SGO test, we did it on the computer. So I'm going to show you, this is exactly, would be the same thing for a Science League test. I just don't happen to have one uploaded for this year yet. So if I go into this, okay, this link right here is for my honors bio. It's my second block. It's the SGO for this year. If I click on that, it's going to bring me into the actual test. Okay, so there's a few things. It's going to give me some details about the test. It's going to give me the answer key. So the link I send you is going to automatically have the answer key set up, so you don't have to do anything with it. You don't need to set up your own key. And at the end, it's going to automatically grade it for you. So the answer key is there. And then since I've already given this test, you're seeing on the right here, these are all of my students and how they scored on it. Don't worry about that for right now. You're going to have that too, but you're not going to have that until after you give the test. So the one piece that you need to really go into is right here. So you're going to edit your remote testing options. So this is where you get to choose between an online submission, or I'm sorry, an open submission versus a verified. All right, so you're going to click on this, and it's going to bring you in. You're going to notice at the very top here, the test, which is in PDF format, is going to automatically be there. So you do not need to upload the PDF. You don't need to do anything with it. It's going to automatically be there. For anyone who's doing it on paper, I'm going to have to send that to them separately, but this will be here for you already. So you don't have to do a thing with that. Don't worry about hiding the key. This would be like if you had 2 different versions. We're not dealing with anything like that. You just need to decide which way you're going to be giving this digitally. Are you going to do a verified submission with a student portal? Again, there's more involved in getting that set up, or an open submission. This is what I have been using. I may do it verified as well, but the open submission is a little easier at the beginning just because there's not as much setup, but the verified is probably a little more secure. So it's really up to you how you want to do it. If you're doing open submission, which is what I'm going to focus on for this one, there are some things here that it gives you information about. Okay. Number 1 is you're going to distribute the link to the quiz for the students. What I do is when they come in and they're ready to start the test, each kid is they're on different teams, right? So that I will have, and I post, because I have a Google Classroom just for Science League. I will post the links to each of the tests, and then they just click on the link that corresponds to the team they're on. So if they're on the Bio 1 team, they'll click the Bio 1 link. If they're on the AP Physics C team, they're going to click the Physics C link. So it's up to you how you want to do it, and that's usually what I do. If you use a different learning system like a Canva or Schoology or something like that, I'm not as familiar. I use Google Classroom, but there has to be a way for you to send those links out to the kids if you're going to be using this. So that's number one. Once they get the link, then they're going to be prompted to enter their student ID, their number, and their name. It's not a login. It's not being validated against a student record. So this is the part where, if you're giving the test virtually, like when we were through COVID, somebody else could take the test and you wouldn't really know it, right? I mean, I guess you could tell somebody else what your student ID and your name is, but there's no validation there. So that's the one maybe negative to this one. If there is a student ID and the students are uploaded, it's going to match it. It is validated then. So it's connected to the student. That would be like at the beginning when the first video, when I showed you how to upload the students and the classes, that would be beneficial to this piece of it. The answer sheet is a space for 8 digits for the student ID. So if it's more than that, you're going to have to tell them to, either remove a number, maybe the first number, whatever it might be, in case your school has student IDs that are longer than 8 digits, because the maximum is 8. And then the other little negative here is that since it's not an actual student login, they could submit multiple papers. So that's the only thing. The papers are time-stamped, but they could. So let's say they log in, they start the test, and then they close it out. They could do it again. So it's almost like they could see the questions and then go back in. They are timestamped, so you would see that. You would see multiple submissions, but I'm just letting you know that that's a possibility. Okay, so this is the link to the quiz. This is what I would be distributing to the students. You don't have to worry about this for right now. You have to also change the settings for the quiz. So all Science League tests are 50 minutes. So I would have to change this to that. So I would just click on it. I would change it to 50 minutes, set my time limit, and that changes it. So you need to make sure you do that. The other thing is that auto submit abandoned papers is on. I leave this on because if a student doesn't finish on time, it's going to automatically close it out and submit their work. If a kid were to walk away and say they forgot to submit, it would automatically submit it. So I just leave it on. And then require valid student ID, offer on. So for me, because I am uploading all of my students, I want them to have the valid student ID. So I would change this, but you can leave it off. It's going to tell you here, though, students will not be able to continue mid-session if they lose their internet connection or close their browser. Requiring a valid student ID and having student record defined will allow students to pick up mid-session if time remains and they close their browser, or say there's a computer issue. You could do, using verified, we'll do this automatically as well. So what I do is I put this on, but you don't have to, but you run the risk of that. Maybe a kid could lose connection, try to go back in, and they can't. So I leave it on so that way it's all set for that. And just to show you what it looks like, I'm going to pretend now, let's pretend that I want to send this link out to my Bio 1 team. I'm going to copy it. The student's going to get that. I'm going to put this into Google Classroom. If I go up here and I just show you what they would do, they would paste the link into their browser, and this is what they're going to see. So they're going to see this is the name of the test. They're going to put their name in, and then they're going to put their student ID. So we'll just say it's this. They need to check this off, just the terms of service. It tells them you'll have 15 minutes to complete the quiz, blah, 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 start the quiz. So once they start, oops, oh, see, it's that I'm putting it in. I forgot that I put that there. If I go back and I change it, it'll bring me in. Actually, let me do that. I just want you to be able to see this. All right, so I'm changing it to off. Copy the URL. Let me do it one more time, just so you can see what the student sees. All right, so now it's not going to match up my name with my student ID. It'll take it, but it's not going to match it up. It's not validating it. Okay, then just scroll down. Ooh, come on. Start quiz. Okay, and then what happens is you can see on the left-hand side of the screen here, we've got the zip grade sheet. This would be, if you're going to give it on paper, you could create a zip grade, like almost like a Scantron sheet, and print it out and give it to them to fill out. On the right-hand side here is the actual test. So they just go through, they look at it, they put their answer, whatever their answers might be. They're scrolling down. When it's time to get to the next page, they click next. Here, go through, answer the questions, blah, blah, blah. As they finish, review and submit to the teacher. Okay, it says you haven't been submitted yet. Look through. If there's anything, if they skipped a question, they can go back. And then if everything is good, submit to teacher. And then it gives them a screenshot of what they did. This is their confirmation code. They don't need it. I don't tell them to print it or save it or anything like that. I just tell them to close out the browser. And then if you go back to the quiz itself, you're going to see, if I go back in, this was the HBio2B, right? Oops. Right here. I go in and scroll down, you're going to see that this is me. This was the ID I put in. It will collect this, and then it's going to give you the score. When we get to the point of talking about sharing results, when you need to send that information to me, it's going to collect their ID, but it's not going to collect the name. So that's where the problem is, that when I put together every single school and we're keeping track of who's getting what on what test, we need names or at least initials. I think Bill Spears had initials there. That's fine with me. I just want, you know who the kid is, but there's not going to be this if you don't have the students validating themselves through the login. So that's where the difficulty comes in, because later I'm going to come back to you and say, I need to know who these kids are that scored this, because I'm going to put it into a spreadsheet. So at the end, when we do awards, they're going to the rightful owner. Anyway, so it would look more like this once the kids are logged in, once you get a class set up and you actually have them submitted. Okay, so this is my open submission video. I'm going to make another video for the verified submission and show you how to set up a student portal and how you can do it that way. Okay, all right, see you soon.